Hello, welcome back to the Football Terrace. Lots of breaking news this morning in relation to Hikimi and his proposed move to either Chelsea or Paris Saint-Germain. We're going to go through the rundown and break that down to you, but do us a massive favour this morning. Smash the like button, subscribe to the Football Terrace, turn on the bell notifications as well, and make sure you've shared this across your social media platforms. Now, as we know, Inter Milan need to sell players this summer. They are suffering a major financial crisis at the football club, and they need to raise funds. Hakimi is a key asset for them to move on, and they've put him into the marketplace, and of course they've been talking heavily to Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain about trying to sign the young fullback. Now, Hakimi is very up for leaving Inter Milan. He's had a good time there, he's enjoyed himself, but he is wishing and wanting now to move away with sort of the law of the Premier League with Chelsea, and of course the prestige that comes with playing for Paris Saint-Germain, the journey that they are going on. It's very much a case of it's open-ended where he can go. There have been contrary reports over the past week or so about which of the two clubs that he would prefer to go to, which leads me to totally believe that he's kind of open to both. I think the Premier League, London, Chelsea, is a bit more of a draw for him. But at the end of the day, at this moment in time, the player is going to end up, in my opinion, at the club that first strikes a deal with Inter Milan. Chelsea have put an offer in, not an official bid at this moment in time. It's very rarely an official bid until they know it's going to be accepted. But they've offered somewhere in the region of 60 million euros plus the services of Marcos Alonso to Inter Milan. Now, Alonso is a player that Inter Milan want. Swap deals slow down processes though. Swap deals slow things down because at the end of the day, Inter then have to work on a deal with Marcos Alonso. There is reports he would like to play in Italy, but who knows what kind of terms they're offering him, salary they're offering him. That appears to be slowing this deal down from being made official. Now, Paris Saint-Germain, reports came out last night from France that they are readying a new bid, okay, to try and get this deal done. They're readying a bid to try and get this deal done before Chelsea come back with a counter offer. A report I read last night suggested that they're going to try and get this deal done and closed out by the end of this week to try to gazump Chelsea and stop them from moving forward. So, the reports are that right now, Hikimi could be closer to joining Paris Saint-Germain than Chelsea because PSG seem, according to the reports, more willing to act and bid now. What we do know is that Hakimi has agreed terms with Chelsea. So Hakimi is up for joining them. And it's very important for Chelsea fans to remember that Hakimi is up for joining you. This is not about the player picking Paris Saint-Germain over Chelsea. He likes the idea of both clubs. He would like to play for both. He would like to play in both cities. This is going to come down to which of the two clubs can strike a deal first with Inter Milan. Now, if they both strike a deal, then it will come down to which of the two clubs the player prefers to be at. Personal terms with Chelsea are not going to be a problem. They have been agreed, they've been verbally agreed, whatever kind of narrative or wording you want to use to present that is where it is as things stand right now. However, the big question is, can Chelsea get a deal struck with Inter Milan before Paris Saint-Germain? If Paris Saint-Germain offer the 80 million euros that Inter Milan are asking for, maybe they get this deal done. There is a lot of talk that Inter need the money to be done sooner rather than later, and of course they're probably trying to create a bidding war here, which is why Chelsea have held back a little bit. None of us know yet the true extent of Chelsea's desire for Hakimi in terms of priorities this summer. Is it first, second, third, fourth? We know that the striker is probably up near the top there, but it's an interesting turn of events today. You can't ever quite say whether or not you think the deal is going to go forward this week, because if Chelsea throw in another offer, Inter might hold back from responding to try and get more money out of people. But at the end of the day, you're in a situation where Chelsea have got a huge advantage in their corner of the Alonso situation. Hakimi would love to come play in the Premier League. He has agreed verbally the personal terms with Chelsea. I wouldn't panic right now as a Chelsea fan about losing Hakimi to Inter Milan, but to Paris Saint-Germain. If Paris Saint-Germain offer more money and their bid gets accepted by Inter, and Inter don't accept Chelsea's offer of cash plus a player, then at the end of the day, there's not much that Chelsea can do about it. Chelsea are not going to go and pay above and beyond the valuation of a player. They very rarely get into bidding wars over individuals if they can help it, and they will stick to their guns and they will look at a different option. Someone says he's already at Inter. Yeah, it was a slip of the tongue. I do enjoy that some of you watch videos on YouTube and it's almost like you're waiting for someone to make a mistake with their words, and that's what you comment on. There's a comment here that says, let him go to Inter, we'll get another player cheaper. You mean, let him go to PSG, you'll get another player cheaper, potentially. Do me a big favour, everyone who's just tuning in, please hit that like button for us this morning. Very, very important to the Terrace that you do that. Timothy here says, my realistic transfers, Hikimi, Tchouameni, Lewandowski or Lukaku. So that'd be a pretty good sum for Chelsea. There's quality in the instant, in the short term, and there's brilliance in terms of the development there as well. Morning, Victor. Hope you are good. What do you think about Lewandowski? Look, Chelsea put an inquiry in a couple of months ago about Lewandowski. If anyone in the Premier League can pull it off, it's Chelsea. Chelsea come with, forget what rivals say about Chelsea. Chelsea come with contemporary heritage. In the last 20 years, they have been one of the most successful teams, not just in England, but in Europe. We know this. 2 Champions League. How many teams since 2004 have won 2 Champions Leagues or more? Very few. You've got Barca, you've got Real Madrid, you've got Liverpool, maybe Bayern Munich? Maybe Bayern Munich. I might be stretching at that. I know they've definitely won it once. I think they've won it twice in that time. There's 4 teams. I can't think of anybody else that's won it more than twice in that period. You've won multiple league titles, domestic titles as well. Lewandowski to Chelsea can happen from a prestige point of view. It can happen from a monetary point of view. I think that goes down to where does Lewandowski want to play out the rest of his career. Where Kylian Mbappe and Haaland go is also key. Real Madrid, this news keeps slowly bubbling away in the background. There's talk this morning, we're gonna delve into it this afternoon when I've had a chance to read through it in a bit more detail. But Mbappe and Haaland to Real Madrid keeps rearing its head. Now I think that maybe Lewandowski would like an opportunity at somewhere like a Real Madrid, but if they're going for an Mbappe or a Haaland, I think that changes it and gives Chelsea a massive chance. Real Madrid won it 3 times in a row in that period. Yeah, they did. But what's your point? What's your point, AFC Carl? I'm talking about the fact that Lewandowski would like to go to Real Madrid, but if they're going elsewhere, looking elsewhere, what's he going to do? If he fancies a move and a new challenge, why would he not pick Chelsea? There is no logical reason as to why he couldn't pick Chelsea. It just doesn't, I don't understand why people always try and throw salt at each other's clubs. Chelsea Football Club are rich, well-run, serial champions. There is no reason to say no to them, unless you don't want to play for them because you fancy someone else. But from a footballing stance, they're brilliant. Twisted here says, Terry, why are Inter Milan in such a financial pickle? If I'm being honest with you, I don't actually know the root cause of it. It's not something that I've gone away and researched. So I assume it's debt, and I assume it's debt to banks, and I assume it's debts that are on sort of short-term 3 to 4 lending plans. They probably took out some type of loan that was interest only, which they've been paying, and now there's a big capital repayment that is needed at the end of that time period. That would be my guesstimation by the fact that they have to raise a certain amount of money in a set period of time. It's not on the long-term plan, because with long-term plans and sort of mortgages, that wouldn't be the case. Morning, Collins. Hope you are well. Terry, since 1990, United, Liverpool and Chelsea tied for the most Champions League wins. Well, there we go. There we go. And in a contemporary sense, listen, there is an amazing amount of prestige that comes with clubs that have won Champions Leagues 4, 5, 6 times. But it is also about the here and now. The here and now is very important to people. We have our first super chat of the day through here, and it says, this is from Nick. He says, what's going on with Sancho to United? How certain are you that it happens? Are we waiting until after the Euros? Do you know what, Nick? We're going to talk about this more this afternoon when we chat about Varane, but the majority of deals are going to have to wait until after the Euros. The majority of deals are not going to happen until after the Euros, because just take away all the bullshit about Sancho for a moment and think about one thing. Man United are about to launch with a brand new kit sponsor. A brand new kit sponsor who've had a lot of shit since they took over Man United, right? In my opinion, they are going to want to announce this deal with him wearing that kit. They're going to want to do it. And I understand everybody's desire to be appeased by the Glazers, appeased by the Cronkies, appeased by FSG. but they are running a business. They are running an organisation and they are running a business, and they need to recoup money. One of the reasons that players are so expensive, one of the reasons that players are paid so much money now, is because of the commerciality. You can't buy a player, and a large part of his purchase price, even the bonuses that we have to pay to Dortmund, a lot of them are connected to income of the football, because that's the way it's going. Now, it doesn't matter whether you like it or not, it's how it is. And there's some elements of football which, unless you're prepared to take your money out of the game, we have to stop moaning about the want to generate money from these deals, the want to generate money from TV. Until we're willing to pull our money, they're going to keep making more money out of us. If we're willing to pay TV subscriptions, buy shirts, then we can't moan about the money element. Like, you're literally feeding into it. You just can't do it. Someone here says the title doesn't make sense. It's either one or the other. It isn't, Luke. According to the reports, he's close to joining Paris Saint-Germain, but he has agreed terms with Chelsea. It's really not confusing, my brother. This is on a knife edge to go towards either direction. The French media are, of course, pushing it in that direction. Okay? He's agreed and he is happy to join Chelsea. It's not about personal terms here now. This is which club could strike the deal first with Inter Milan. This has been the news for 2 or 3 days now. It has been reported last night that Paris Saint-Germain are going to try and come in with a deal before Chelsea, essentially to gazump them. Terry, what about... I can never say his first name properly. Traore. Why can't I say his name? Adama. There we go. My brain doesn't work. That name doesn't work in my head. I don't think he's a bad second choice. But I know a lot of Chelsea fans don't want him. I know a lot of Chelsea fans are really put off by the idea of having him at the football club. So it's an interesting one to me, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Monsor says PSG offer is very high wages and is the only reason he would join PSG. Otherwise, both Chelsea and PSG are the same, is what Monsor says. Luke says, where do you see him going, mate? Honestly, first of all, it's which club's going to strike the deal with Inter Milan. I understand a big thing in Chelsea's favour is the Marcos Alonso situation. However, the deadline for Inter Milan to pay their bank back their money is closing in fast. If Alonso is making this deal take too long, Chelsea may have to look at a different angle here and say, and end up doing the two deals in separation. This could be the response from Chelsea. Okay, we'll match the offer of 80 million euros. That could be the offer. But we are still going to try and sell you Alonso later on in the season. Remember, it was only a couple of seasons ago that Man United purchased Lukaku and Wayne Rooney went in the other direction. Now, there was no official legal connection between those deals. But you know that conversation would have happened. But it's so hard to get for the legalities to get a deal through that way. Plus, it can protrude. Man United wanted to get the Lukaku deal done because of other teams that were involved, other teams that were trying to kind of slip into the slipstream, as it were. Terry, do you think PSG won't go for Haaland as they are about to sell Mbappe? I don't think Haaland has any intention of joining Paris Saint-Germain. I don't think Mbappe, if he wasn't French, would have joined Paris Saint-Germain. It's one of the reasons why I would be a little disappointed in Hikimi for joining them, because Paris Saint-Germain are essentially a Champions League team. I know they didn't win the league this year. If they would have had Poch from the start of the season, I believe they would have won it. They were slowly catching. He just didn't have enough time to get them to where they needed to be, integrate himself, his systems or whatever. They practically win every domestic trophy and every league title every year. It's ridiculous, the domination they've had in the last decade. They're a Champions League team. I think for Hakimi, if you go to a Chelsea, winning a title 3 times in 8 years with Chelsea is a better achievement than winning it 7 out of 8 years at PSG. And I think that Haaland knows that. It's one of the reasons that Kylian Mbappe is looking to leave Paris Saint-Germain. You are never going to build the same legacy in the game, the same standing in the game, the same respect in the game as a Zinedine Zidane, as a Messi, as a Ronaldo, as a Lewandowski, unless you do it in one of the top 4 leagues and you do it in a competitive league. We even see that. I rate the Bundesliga, but still a lot of people talk about Bundesliga tax. Everything's geared towards making one team the best? Is it truly competitive at the highest level? Kai Havertz himself in recent weeks spoke about how in Germany, when you play a team in the bottom half, it's easy to beat them. But he said here, you have to fight tooth and nail to beat the team who are the worst in the league. So I think, if I'm advising Hikimi, I'm legitimately telling him to push towards a Premier League or a La Liga side. There's more prestige in it. That's what I would say. So I can't see Haaland going there myself. Kane to City in advanced talks apparently. Listen, I don't think so. I don't think there's advanced talks right now. No official bid has been made. What was put in a few days ago was very much a preliminary. It was, we'll offer you 100 million, maybe a swap deal. That's as far as it's gone so far. Where there are talks is between Harry Kane's representatives and Manchester City. That's where maybe the twisting of the advanced talks are coming from. Harry Kane wants to leave. Highly likely that a transfer request is going to go in. But the reports are still that Daniel Levy is going to be stubborn as hell with this. The bid is going to be rejected. Fair enough. Let's do a few more. Where did that news come from that they're in advanced talks? I'd love to know. Terry, do people look at you when they walk by? Yeah, some people look at me when they see me doing this, but I don't care. I don't really care, man. Up in the studio today, so I'm going to share some stuff in the studio a little bit later, actually. Didn't get a chance last time. I was too busy in meetings. I never got out. Is Moreno going to Chelsea? Again, the Moreno going to Chelsea deal for me is, and David spoke about it, these things are all kind of mooted at the moment. Of course, Chelsea are doing preliminary work. Of course, Chelsea are looking at additional options away from Lukaku and away from Haaland. Do I think they're going to try and sign somebody outside of those two players who's going to cost big money? No. I think they will look. I think a Moreno could be a deal they go for. I think a Danny Ings could be a player they go for, where they're almost coming in and they know they've got a year to either kill it, so you change your mind about that being a focus position. But equally, would Danny Ings or Moreno be happy to be the new Olivier Giroud, the new Tammy Abraham in a year's time when you sign someone like Erling Haaland? My thoughts are absolutely. Let's do some more comments here. Good on you, Terry. Why would you care if folks are staring at you? Great show. Thank you. Yeah, like, I don't care about, generally speaking, I don't care about anybody's opinion of me. Let alone some stranger in the street who's just staring at me like, can you imagine? Can you imagine being cared? The title got me mad confused. What's confusing about he's close to joining PSG, but he's agreed personal terms with Chelsea? That's it. That's the news, bruv. Maybe I'll reword it if it is confusing. News on Hakimi deal. Heard he's close to a PSG agreement. Yes, that is what is being reported as of right now. Let's do a few more comments that are coming through here. Simon Phillips said talks with Chelsea and Haaland are advancing each week. Is that true? Listen, Simon knows his stuff, and again, Chelsea are working very hard to try and bring Haaland across. They won't submit an official bid yet. They're going to wait a little bit, in my opinion. I think Chelsea are going to wait to see what happens with Harry Kane. I think they're going to wait to see what happens with a few other potential big moves. Are Real Madrid going to come in for him? You almost don't want to. It's a bit like poker. You don't want to like show your hand too early in these situations, in my opinion. So, advanced talks, I would say not. But are they advancing? Are they working on the deal? Are they breaking it down? Absolutely. Terry, how does a player buying out their contract actually work? Well, it depends upon the country that they're in, really. So, if they're in Spain, they have a buyout clause. They have to buy the buyout clause out. So they have to raise the money. So theoretically, when Paris Saint-Germain didn't buy Neymar from Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain, or a subsidiary connected to them, gave lots of money to Neymar in a sponsorship deal, which enabled him to buy his contract out, and then Paris Saint essentially signed him on a free. Like, if you were to break it down, that's how it was done. In terms of the Premier League, it can be done this way. Say Harry Kane's got 3 years left on his deal, and Harry Kane has got 3 years left on his deal, and that's worth in salary £15 million. He could sit down with the board of Tottenham and work the way that he can buy that out. If he's got the cash, he might turn around and say, listen, I'll pay you £15 million to buy myself out. They may say, they'll probably say no to that because he's worth more than £15 million to them. They'd rather sell him as an example. So in the UK, unless you've got a buyout clause, it's very hard to buy out of your contract if the club wants to keep you, because they're going to lose a lot more money than selling you. So it's not an easy thing to do if the club wants to keep you or sell you. Do me a favour, by the way, and smash that like button. We're sitting on only 140. One thing I'd say, I watched a lot of other YouTubers recently. Their viewers hit the like button a lot more than you guys, and maybe that's because you don't like, I don't know, maybe it's a personal thing. Maybe you've got an issue with me, I don't know what it is. But you're supporting the platform that you watch every day. It's important that you do it because the big boys are continually coming out there, like the conglomerates, and it's making it harder and harder to be seen. So we need those like buttons to be hit. Otherwise, eventually you'll see independent, like traditional YouTubers disappearing in that way. Of course, we've partnered now with Snack to try and keep our heads above water in that way, but we need you to make sure you're hitting that like button, please, people. We really do. Lengon Sweet here says, Terry, do you think if City made that bid for Jack Grealish, Villa would accept it? They might do, and again, a lot of it depends on Jack Grealish's desire to leave. Does Jack Grealish want to go? That is a real important element. That is a real important element when it comes to these deals. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Did we have another super chat? We did. It's from Billy, who says, Terry, are those bags under your eyes Gucci? They're just a family trait, bruv. All my family have bags under their eyes, but no, they're not Gucci, brother. They're not Gucci. There was a joke in there, but you super chatted, so I left it out. Do you think Haaland could happen this summer? It's from Yuvi. Yeah, I do. I do think Haaland could happen. I legitimately think Haaland could happen. I do think it could happen, but it depends upon the size of the deal and the structure of the deal. You slap 130, 140, 150 million pound cash on someone's desk for any business transaction, when they know they're getting half that next year, I think you can tempt them. But it depends how much of that they're going to have to spend on reinvesting. So if they then get striped up on the replacement that costs them 80 million, and then they don't make the Champions League, they may feel that they have to, that's the risk, that's the gamble they take. If they keep Haaland, are they likely in the German league to make it into the Champions League? Yes. That guarantee of Champions, what they will feel is more of a guarantee of Champions League money, plus 70 million next year. They may look at that as a better deal. Plus, they might be striped up for less money for players. If selling Sancho and selling Haaland in one summer, what you're raising 210, 220, 230, clubs are coming for you for money as well. Thank you for telling everyone to hit that like button. It makes a great deal. Terry, how important is next season for Arsenal and Spurs? Listen, it's huge for them. With the money being spent by the Villas, with the growth of the Leicester Cities, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Everton now. Everton were looking quite promising, and now they've changed direction again. It's going to be an interesting time. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. No doubt about it. Terry, as a Chelsea fan, I'm getting 2017 vibes. What, that you're not going to sign it? I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans thinking they're not going to sign anyone. Relax, it's the Euros. You know, we have to remember very little business is going to be done until after the Euros. So I really wouldn't panic. I really wouldn't be too stressed. I really wouldn't be too over the top with any of this. Things will get better, there's no doubt about it. Mohammed here says Villa might be bigger than Arsenal and Spurs in the next 5 years. Listen, if they continue to grow in the direction they are, and those two teams continue to drop current trajectories, then yeah, they could. That could legitimately happen. Mbappe and Haaland next year combined 70 million. And do you know what, AFC Carl, that's a great point. And that's one thing that you've got to look at here. I mean, it would be huge amounts of money. So it isn't quite 70 million for, say, Real Madrid or anybody that buys them. If you're signing Kylian Mbappe for free, you are paying a gargantuan signing on fee. You are giving him huge wages. With Haaland asking for somewhere in the region of 400 to 500,000 pound a week, and Mbappe's asking for the same. So, if you think about it that way, say they both get £500,000 each in salary. Okay, 70 million to sign them both, great. £1 million a week just in salary for the two of them. That's £52 million a year on a 5-year contract. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. Plus bonuses, which are going to be tens of millions more. plus agent fees, which are going to be tens of millions of pounds. Plus for Mbappe, you're paying 30, 40, 50 million pound sign-on fee for him. So the total investment is still like £500,000 in total. It's gargantuan. Don't be suckered in by newspaper talk when they say signing players on a free. It doesn't work like that. Aaron Ramsey was free of charge for Juve, but they're paying him 400 grand a week. 400 grand a week. He's costing them 20, including bonuses, he's costing 25 million a year. By the time he leaves, he'd have been nearly £100 million investment. £100 million investment. Come on, people. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Terry, tell David I love him when he's angry. There we go. Ashley here says, who would you say is the biggest team in London? I'm going to keep it very neutral and say Leyton Orient. Leyton Orient. Leyton Orient. How many more years do Arsenal and Spurs get class as a top 6 club? Depends on your metrics for top 6. Depends on your metric for top 6, but they'll be there or thereabouts. They will be there or thereabouts for a while. I do, listen, all the banter aside, I see them bouncing back. £500 million, I keep telling people there's no such thing as a free transfer. The player and his agent own his registration rather than another club. Exactly. Do you know what it is? People think free transfers because they think of computer games. They think of what the Sun says about transfers. Net spend. Net spend. Net spend. Net spend. Listen. Net spend isn't real. Net spend isn't real. Net spend isn't real. I let everyone know I'm preaching. There's no one here. There's one dude looking at me like I'm a right weirdo. Net spend doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Purely based on that there. If you sign a player on a free, net spend is zero. It ain't zero. How much is he signing on fee? How much to pay his agent? What's his hike in salary going to be? What exorbitant bonuses did he put in? You still need the player card. You've got to buy it still. It's a madness. It's a madness. It's a madness. Yes, bruv. No, you're right. It don't exist. There's a man in the street chatting to me. He's cutting the grass in the park. You're right, brother. He's putting his thumbs up. He probably thinks I'm off mic. He probably thinks I'm proper radio, mate. Radio rental. Terry, behave yourself. There ain't no one's going to call them mental asylum. Am I crazy? No. I honestly want Twitter to ban the word net spend. I want the word net spend to become illegal in football conversation. Oh, Mark called the police then. Imagine why he's shouting, sir. Like, I'm having a laugh. I wouldn't know what to say. I got arrested once when I was very young. A policeman come up to me and said, oh, what are you guys up to? Like, we're just hanging around in the park. I said, just hanging around. Started asking all their names. So I gave them a fake name, of course, right? I always call myself Daniel because that was my brother's name, right? So if it ever came out, it was my brother's name. Anyway, right? They said, what's your date of birth? Oh, I was so stupid. I said 30th of the 3rd, once a year. They didn't like that. They arrested me. I didn't go into a cell. They just took me home. I got in a lot of trouble for that one. Where am I off to? Net spend is real. It's just not in the context that football fans use it. No, net spend in the football context isn't real. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Let's have a little look here. Terry, out of the top 4, who needs to do the most business? All of them. I don't think there is one that needs it any more than the other. They just have different reasons. Man United closed the gap. Chelsea to close the gap. City, Liverpool for strength and depth to close the gap. And then on top of that, you've got Chelsea. They need to re-bridge the gap if people are closing it in. So it's on absolutely everybody to go out there and get that done. But listen, we'll recap that news again. Reports today that Hakimi and Paris Saint-Germain are close based on PSG being nearer than Chelsea to securing a deal with Inter Milan for the fullback. However, Hakimi has agreed personal terms with Chelsea and that deal could still happen. Terry, who's the better talent, Foden or Sancho? I'm going with Sancho. Listen, until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye, God bless, and we'll see you all again very, very soon.